Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are diving into one of the most fundamental topics of AWS security, which is IAM, which stands for Identity Access Management. So IAM helps you to securely manage access to AWS resources by controlling who can access whatsoever. So in this step-by-step tutorial, we'll cover everything you need to know from creating an IAM user, creating groups, setting up MFA. MFA stands for multi-factor authentication, creating roles, and assigning permission. So by the end of this video, you have a solid understanding of IAM and how to use it to protect your AWS environment, okay? So let's get started. So first, you need to make sure you have signed into your AWS account, right? You need to sign into your AWS account. So make sure you have signed into your AWS account. You can type AWS sign in and you click, okay? You click sign in. Make sure you have signed in. If you don't have an AWS account set up already, I'm going to be attaching a video on how to set up an AWS account, okay? So I'm going to attach the link to this video for all of you who do not yet have an AWS account. So once you're logged in, you now need to search for IAM, okay? You need to search for IAM. You're going to see a dashboard, but your dashboard won't have recently visited, okay? If it's a new account that you just created, you won't be seeing recently visited. So you need to come to the search bar and you type IAM. And now when you type IAM, you're going to see manage access to AWS resources. You click on IAM, okay? So now we click on IAM. So it is a control center. So it is a control center for managing users, groups, roles, and permission in your AWS environment. Okay. So now we are going to start with creating groups. So when you come and see our IAM, you're going to see we have our account. We are able to see the groups we have, the users, the roles. If you're just on creating your account, everything will be 0, 0, okay? So you're going to, on your left-hand screen, you're going to see user groups, users, roles, policy, identity provider, account settings, and all that. So we're going to start with user group. So I'm going to click on user group. So on user group, we're going to create a group and we'll provide a group name like admin group. We'll create a new group. We're going to name this group, let's say admin. Admin group. And we're going to attach a policy such as administrator access or read-only access. Since it's our admin group, will attach administrator access. So don't mind, these are users I've created before, okay? So this should not confuse you. When you create a group, you always have the option to add users, right? So we won't be adding a user now, but we're going to add users, okay? So next, we're going to attach policy. What do we want? We want to attach administrator access. It is this first one, okay? We can search any permission here, any policy here. Administrator access. I'm just showing so you know how to search, okay? So this is it, administrator access. Provide full access to AWS services. You see, provide full access. So I'll tick here. So you see that basically about 1,039 policies. So just that one. And once we have added administrator access, next we're going to click create user group. So now we are creating a group. So perfect. We have just created our admin group. Okay, I'm going to delete this so it doesn't confuse no one. Perfect. So we have our admin group that has been created. So this admin group has one permission. Which permission did we add? Who can remember the permission we added? We added one policy. What was the policy? Administrator access. You can see it. So all the policies you add to this group will appear down here, okay? Administrator access simply means you can control everything in your AWS account, right? It's an admin. So to keep your permission organized, it's a good idea to start by creating an IAM group, because you can equally create users and attach policies to individual users. But to keep your permissions organized, it's good to start by creating an IAM group, whereby you click on the user group, then you create the group and you attach the policy to the group, okay? So next, we are going to create an IAM user and add to the group we recently created. So navigate to where it says users on the left hand of your screen. Users, you click on users. So I'm going to delete all of these old users, okay? I'm going to delete so it doesn't confuse you. These are all users, okay? So this is not part of the video. I'm deleting all of these old users. Perfect. So now you navigate to your users, you're going to see zero resource. So what do? You now need to click where you're able to create users, okay? So we're going to click on create user. And what name are we going to give to this user? Let's say developer one, or developer one. And we can select either providing the user access to AWS management console. So we want this user to be able to log into AWS, right? So we're providing the user, and we're going to choose, I want to create an IAM user, okay? So next, we can choose the password for this user, or we can allow the auto-generated password, okay? So we're going to allow the auto-generated password so we can send to this user. And once they log in, they're going to create that password. So users must create a new password in next sign in, okay? So I've ticked that so that they can create that password in next sign in, okay? So I'm going to click next. Now, where it says set permission, I actually told you that we can attach policies like here. See, we can click here and we attach policy directly to this user. You see, we can attach policy directly to this user. But as best practice, we recommend attaching policies to a group instead. So we prefer to attach policies to a group so everyone added to this group can assume this permission, okay? So we are going to choose the group. Remember, we created a group, right, called admin group. So we're going to be adding him to the admin group, this developer one, and we'll click next. Everything looks good. We'll create this user, okay? So we're creating the user. So now we have created this user. This is the password of the user. This is the password of the user, okay? This is the password of the user. We're going to email sign-in instruction to this user. Hello, John. This is your sign-in credentials, okay? Now, let's return back to our user list. So we now have one user. Perfect. So you now know the concept of how to create a group, how to add user. You can create multiple users, right? You can click on create user, and you create developer two, you click on group, you create maybe a group for maybe UAT or any stuff, and you add users to this group, okay? Now, we want to see another concept here because we have to touch everything, okay? So we're going to select a user in the list. We want to enable what we call multi-factor authentication, MFA, that I show you. So we're going to be testing that on developer one. We click on developer one. And now, once we have clicked on developer one, we're looking for where it says security credentials. We'll click on security credentials. And now, once in security credential, we want to set up MFA, multi-factor authentication. Okay, so we're going to click manage. Okay, we're looking for manage or assign. No MFA defined, so we want to assign. Okay, perfect. Assign MFA. So now, before you're able to assign MFA, first, you need to put maybe the device name you're going to use. Maybe you're using what we call a pass key or a security key. Okay. Some companies use pass key or security key or authenticator apps. So when I'm logging into my AWS account, they always ask me to authenticate. So you can click on authentication app. Okay. Device, I can put the device, I'm using my iPhone. You scroll down, you click next. Now, it says a virtual MFA device is an application running on your device that you can configure by scanning the code, okay? Install a compatible application such as Google Authenticator, Geo Mobile, or app on your device. So for me, I am using an authenticator called Binance Authenticator, okay? It works for me. That's what I use in authenticating all of my device. But you can download Auth app, you can download Geo Mobile, you can download Google Authenticator. What you need to keep in mind is that some of this authenticator might charge you some money. For me, I'm using Binance Authenticator because it's free for me, okay? Because it's free for me. Let me show you the app. So you just need to download the application, okay? Google Authenticator, there's Google Authenticator, there's Binance Authenticator. I was looking for the pictures. Let me see if I can have the picture here. Yes, this is how Binance Authenticator looks like. Okay, you're just going to add the device. Once you scan the code, it's going to appear like this. It's going to appear like this. This is an authenticator. So it's going to appear like that, okay? So I just wanted to show you this, the authenticator which I am using, which is Binance Authenticator. You can use Google Authenticator, okay, or anyone that suits you. So for me, I'm using that because it doesn't charge me anything as compared to other authenticator that might want to charge me some money. So once you have done that, on your authenticator, you're going to see the first code. You input the code and you see the second code. You wait for, once you input the first code, you wait for 30 seconds. They'll send the second code in the authenticator and you input and good. You're good to go. So before doing that, how you get the code? You need to scan this QR code. Can you see that? Perfect. Once you have your authenticator on your phone, you scan this QR code and the code you have, you put that also. Whenever this developer wants to sign in to his AWS, it's very simple. He's just going to sign in and the code will be sent to the authenticator so no one can hack. So it's going to add a layer of security. Okay, so it's like a virtual MFA app like Google Authenticator, which it's going to it even ensures that if someone has your credential, they can't access your AWS account. So if someone has, for example, your credential, they won't be able to access your account, right? Because once they put your password, they'll still need this authenticator, okay? Good. Let's go to the next concept. So I'm trying to brief you all the concept. I hope by now you have already understand a lot already on IAM, because I am summarizing everything in such a way that even someone that is starting AWS today can tell you that I have understood IAM. So I'm touching almost all the concepts. Okay. So the next thing we want to know now is roles. We have seen user go, we have seen user. Let's go to roles. Okay. Let's click on roles. So IAM roles are great for granting temporal access to AWS resources. Don't mind, you're going to see some EKS roles and that, so don't mind about that. So IAM roles are great for granting temporal access to AWS resources. For example, let's create a role for an EC2 instance and click on, we are going to be clicking on roles in the IAM dashboard, and we'll choose the trust entity like an AWS service or an AWS account, and we'll select the case of EC2 for an AWS service. And we're going to attach a policy like Amazon S3 full access for specific permission. Okay. So first, what we're going to do is we'll click on create role. Now it's asking us that, I told you about trust entity type, right? It's asking us to choose the trust entity type. Is it a role for an AWS account, for a web identity, for a custom trust policy, or for an SMAL? So we want to allow this whole service like to control EC2 Lambda or other little stuff, okay? So next, we have choose the first one, right? AWS service as I earlier told you. Or you can choose for an AWS account. And now we are going to select the use case, EC2 instance. I'm just selecting this use case, EC2 instance, okay? And we'll allow the first one to click on next. And now it asks us to attach a policy to this role, okay? So we want to attach a policy like, let me say Amazon S3 for access. I showed you how to search Amazon S3 full access. Can you see down here? So once you're typing, it's going to appear like, I'll click one and I'll scroll down. I click next. And now you have to give a name for this role, okay? And click create role. So give a name. So I'm going to give role for S3 dash bucket. Then it says allow EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf. So your EC2 instance can communicate. Once you attach this role to an EC2 instance, it's going to communicate your S3 bucket without no permission, okay? So you are going to see the trust entity. It says allow, assume role, ec2amazon.com, okay? Policy name Amazon S3. You can add the tag. If not, if everything looks good, you scroll down, you create this role. You're going to be seeing role, for example, when you need to create things like an EKS cluster, you want to set up cluster, there'll be need for roles. If you go on my previous roles, so we have created this role, okay? Let's go back to roles and we'll view these roles. Let's go back to roles and we're going to view these roles. Okay. So you now see roles. I'm clicking on roles. I'm clicking on host so we can see this host. Okay, so now we are on host. What was the name of our role? Role for S3 bucket. Okay, so we have these are some previous roles I've created. This one I was needed for EKS, you see EKS, roles for EKS cluster, roles for group node managing. So if you want to deep dive on the uses of these roles, like more deeply in a real world project, you can watch my video on EKS cluster, and you're going to see how to set up an EKS cluster, okay? You're going to see how to set up an EKS cluster. So now we have a role that has already been created. We have a role that has already been created, which is really perfect, okay? So now we're going to, okay, my system was trying to reboot. Sorry for that. So we're going to now go to the next aspect, which is policies. You notice that while creating groups, we had to attach policies. While creating users, we can also attach policies directly to users or attach them to group and users assume them. While creating roles, we had to also attach policies. So you already need to know that policies are very important concept, okay? Very, very important concept. So we're clicking on policies. So for IAM policies, are how you define what actions are allowed or denied. That is it. That's all about. So it defines the action, what are allowed or denied. Can this group do this? Can this user do this? Can this role do this? Yes or no? Are they assuming this or not? That is all about. So first, you need to go to policies. We just went to policies, your IAM dashboard, and you're going to click on policies as we already clicked. Then here you're going to be seeing a lot of policies, okay? You're going to be seeing a lot of policies, a lot of policies, okay? It all depends on what you're working on, the project you're working on. You might be working on a project that require you to attach some various policies, or your company might ask you to attach some various policies to a particular project, to a particular use. So we can, once you see these policies, okay, these are some policies, okay. You can create your own policy here, right? You come here, create policy. So you can create what we call self-managed policies, okay? You can see the JSON format. This is empty. You can create policy. You can add permissions. So let me add a permission. Choose service. Let me choose EC2. Action allowed. Manual action or read list. Let me say this. Allow all these actions. Allow all these actions. Let me check the JSON. Visual. EC2. Just list. Allow all this action. Okay. I click on Next. My internet is having a little bit of issues. Okay. Okay. We have to define the resource. Okay. So we have to specify a particular resource. We're going to do effect allow. And apart from that, right, you can still come to JSON. You see this policy editor, right? I'm going to just let me just take example of EC2 policy full access policy JSON format. Let me show an example of a policy. I'll delete this. I'm adding a policy, okay? So this is EC2 full access in JSON format. So you see, it now asks for the policy name. I'll call this EC2 full access Netflix app. So description, I can add a description. This policy allows you to have full access to all EC2 resources. So allows one, you see, full access, service, full access, all resources, no condition, okay? Click a policy. So this policy has been created. Remember, this is what was the name of the policy? EC2 full access. So let's put EC2. Remember, this is the policy created by us, right? Can you see EC2 full access Netflix? So it now says what? Customer manage policy. And it says this policy allows you to have what? Full access to EC2 resources. Okay. Unlike, let's look for a policy managed by AWS. So you will see this policy, it is not managed by us, right? For a customer policy, like a policy created by you, you're going to always see, let me see, it was EC2 dash, so customer manage, okay? AWS manage, type AWS manage, see that? Perfect. So you have now been able to create groups, create policies. And before we wrap up, let me share some best practices for IAM. So for IAM, it's always good to grant what we call minimum permission required for a task, okay? So you won't have a task and someone has to maybe work on an S3 bucket, work on a VPC, and you will just go and give AWS full access to this person, or administrator access, full access. So we believe in the principle of least privilege principle. You grant minimum permission required for a task, okay? So make sure that if someone is working on maybe just an S3, you can grant the person just a policy on S3 and the person won't have access to other resources. So I don't want to make this video too longer. We would have logged in the new user, right? We would have logged in this new user developer one, and we will attach policies like as we have attached administrator access. If we go and log into developer one, you'll notice that developer one is going to have administrative access. They're going to be able to control every stuff in the AWS account. Okay, let me see if I can just deep dive a little bit in that. Let me deep dive a little bit. Okay, so So they have never logged into the console, okay? So we have to email the information to this user. We have to email the information to this user. Okay, I'm just going to create a new user. I'll call this developer2. This is bonus, right? Provide access. Provide access. I want the user. I want to create an IAM user. Password. I'm going to create a password called the developer1 pass. So I'm putting a password that's a bit difficult, right? Developer1 pass. I'll copy this password so as to log in. Pass. And I'll create, okay? So I'm going to attach this user to, let me just create a new group. I'll attach this user to a group called, I'll create a group called, enter a meaningful name, group dash dev. So group for dev team. And here I'm going to attach just EC2 full access, okay? Amazon Amazon EC2 full access. Just a minute. Let me look for this policy, Amazon full access. Okay, we even created policy. Okay, we created our own policy. We're going to use that. It was EC2 full access on Netflix. So I'm going to attach customer managed policy to this group. So I've attached a customer, like the policy I created myself. I wrote the JSON file myself, which gives full access to the dev group, okay? And this is customer managed. So now I'm going to be creating this user, adding to the dev group. Next, and that we create. So we have created this user. Always remember to keep this information somewhere, okay? So I'm going to log into this user. I'll use a different browser. I'm going to type AWS, or I can just paste this link, okay? I can paste this link. So sign in. I want to log into this user. So we're assuming that we have sent the credentials to the user. So it's asking for the username. Copy the username. IAM username. Password. Account ID. So this is the account ID. Normally, when you copy this link, right, that sign-in URL, it automatically adds everything. Okay, so this is just because my Microsoft is very secure. So remember, it's asking for the old password. Okay, I told you that once the user sign in, they will have to create their own password. So this was the old password the company gave. So now they're going to create a new password. Will I allow you to see this password? No. Confirm password. Your password do not match. Okay, you only see this password. That and confirm. Okay, so now continue to sign in. Congratulations. This user has signed in, okay? So these users have signed in, okay? And now it says what? Developer 2, okay? So it says access denied to service catalog listing application. So remember, this user had full access EC2. Let's click on EC2 and see. Yes, of course. The user can launch instance. The user can do everything in one with EC2. Let's search for another resource, S3. You're going to notice that they would deny, okay, S3. So let's try to create an S3 bucket. So if this user tries to create an S3 bucket, will it work? No. Why? Because the permission attached to this user. So let me check users. Let me see. User, developer 2. Developer 2 has EC2 full access, okay? EC2 full access. Let's give let's go to this group, user groups, dev group. Let's go to permissions. Let's try to add more permissions. Add permissions, attach policy. Let's, for example, just add VPC. Let me see. Amazon. VPC full access. Let's add Amazon VPC full access, okay? So once you're adding this policy, we're going to delete this EC2 full access to this group. Remove. So now let's go to the user, to that user, developer 2, and see the access. So they now have just Amazon VPC full access. So you see that creating groups and attaching policies to this group allow the users to assume the permission. So let's go to this user and refresh this page. Click on EC2, launch an instance. Let's just try to launch an instance. It seems like you may be new to launch an instance. Let's take you through working instance. So we'll do it ourselves. We'll just click web app, choose Amazon Linux. We'll choose Amazon Linux. Or we'll choose Ubuntu. So we'll allow keeper and every stuff. We'll allow everything just like that. We'll click launch instance. The AMI is not valid. The AMI might no longer exist. So this guy is not allowing. Okay, we're just going to choose any key pair. Okay, I'll try to choose different AMI. So it is not allowing you because you do not have that permission. You choose which AMI is not going to allow you. Let's go to Amazon Linux. This guy does not have permissions. So nothing is not existing. Okay, so he does not have permission to launch instance. Can you see? You are not authenticated. You are not authenticated. You are not authenticated. Status check. So you are not allowed to do any stuff because he does not have the required permission. Now, if we go and add the EC2 for access, you notice that he'll be authenticated. If he's trying to check things like STV, and move to a region like North Virginia where there are STV buckets. I have an STV bucket in North Virginia. In EU Node 1, I think it's EU Node 1. Yes, so it's EU Node 1. So if this user tries to create buckets, right, they won't allow the user to create this bucket because they do not have this permission. Let me just try my bucket 567. Create bucket. What happened? Failed to create bucket. Create bucket permission is required. Okay? To create a bucket, the S3, you must have the permission. So it says API response diagnosed with MTN, with Amazon, okay? So there's no permission. I just wanted you to have a little bit of knowledge on how these rules work, okay? So now that you know that you're able to grant permissions, to add permissions, to reduce permissions, it's easy for you, right? So another best practice is to use AWS CloudTrail to track your IAM actions, okay, and compliances. So to keep your environment secured, it's always good to change permission. And there's the last bonus I want to show you. This is a bonus. Okay, we are seeing users, developer tool. You might want to connect for those who already know Terraform, or for those who want to create resources using a client, for example, something like VS Code. This is VS Code, the client. Okay, let me show you what you need to do. You need to create an access key. Once you've created an access key, you click what do you want to do with this access key. Choose command line interface. You can choose whatever you want to do with it. I understand above, create access key. So access key permits you to use your AWS account without logging in, right? To create resources, Okay, so this is the access key. Once I have this access key, I have access key and secret access key. You just come to your client, maybe you're using mobile extend, you're using VS Code, you're using whatever, you type AWS configure, click enter. Now, to actually your AWS access key, I'm just showing you this. I'm not going to be configuring this. You copy your access key. This is a bonus. I'm showing you copy your access key. You paste, you click enter. You ask for your AWS secret access key. You copy your AWS secret access key. You paste, you click enter. It's going to ask your region name. Which region? My own is EU Node 1. Sorry. You can check your region up here, right? No. You can check your region up here. Me, I mean EU Node 1. So access key works generally, but you can use any region, right? But it depends where you'll be working. You can use this one, your another one, and all that. And then you click next. It's going to ask you for your default output, JSON, or you click. If I just click this, I would have configured, so I don't want to configure. I'm going to cancel all of this, okay? I'm going to cancel all of this later. So that is it. That will be another topic for another day, how you can create resources using this. Is a very powerful tool. As an engineer, you must know how to use your access key. So with your access key, you're able to create resources on AWS. You're able to create resources without logging into your AWS. And if you really like to utilize this IAM security, you can also watch my video on how you can utilize Terraform. With Terraform, you're able to create all of these resources. That will be the next video on Terraform. You're able to create all of these IAM users, all resources on AWS, as long as you have the privilege, okay? So, and there you have it now. So you have had a complete guide to IAM. So we have covered everything, creating groups, users, role, enabling MFA, and managing policy. So IAM is a powerful tool for securing your AWS environment, and I hope you feel more confident using it now. So if you found this tutorial helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe for more AWS content. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.